What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel as you tune in and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on Ja Morant, right? There's been a lot of talk about Ja Morant as far as the problems that he's having with the Memphis Grizzlies. And and trade rumors that he is his name is always coming up in trade rumors, right? And I probably said this probably about like a year ago that Ja Morant probably wasn't going to be with the Grizzlies for very too much longer, right? And people said, nah, they wouldn't trade Ja because Ja is he put butts in the seat. And back then I pointed out the fact that that might be true, but number one, like the team, he don't make the team. He never made the team any better, right? And so he is a highlight film, like he is like a human highlight film. But other than that, the team hasn't had much success with him. As a matter of fact, the team they win about the same amount of games without Ja Morant as they do with Ja Morant. For instance, like when he was suspended, I think it was like a 50-50 thing, like, the same amount of games that, when Ja Morant got suspended, the same amount of games they won with him was the same amount they won without him, right? And so whether he is there he's missing time because of injuries or if he's missing time because of, suspension or something off the court, the team is just as, they're just as good with Ja Morant or without Ja Morant. So when they are having that type of success or winning at the same pace, that shows teams around the league that Ja Morant really don't affect winning too much, right? And what that does is that lowers his value. And so right now, Memphis wants to move off of him, but it's hard because the teams know that he don't really affect winning. And it's hard to move off of him. That's part of the reason why uh that's why teams don't want him. And another thing that people not really talking about is when you look around the NBA and teams that are having success, Ja Morant don't play the style of basketball that will be conducive for a team that's trying to win or a team that's trying to make it to the next level as far as like make it to the playoffs. So he don't like his style almost like it's almost like hero ball. And if you look at, let's just take like for example, like the Detroit Pistons, like their style of basketball, they're more team oriented. They're not worried about like the that hero ball or somebody coming down and making a spectacular play. They're not worried about that. They focus on being efficient on offense, and this is like what you're starting to see a trend with successful teams. They're focused on being more efficient on offense and playing strong defense, right? And so Ja Morant, for as long as he has been with the Grizzlies, has never really been a efficient ball player. Ja Morant is more of a volume shooter, right? Meaning that he needs a whole lot of attempts just to get, to make his average. I'm not sure what his average is, but he's a volume shooter. And so when you are a volume shooter and you're playing against teams that are much more efficient, you're not going to have too much, you're not going to really have a lot of success. And that style of basketball that he play is phasing out. You don't see that with like I said, Detroit. You don't see that in Boston. You definitely don't see it in OKC. You don't see it with the Spurs. Like these teams, um, well coached teams, and remember, there's a new coach with the Grizzlies, right? And so I'm sure that the coach that's with the Grizzlies want Ja Morant and the rest of the Grizzlies to play a certain style. And they want them to play a certain way, and a way that is going to be more team oriented, moving the ball. you know, they just really said something about Ja Morant too, that when Ja Morant is on the court, their team, the Grizzlies, pass the ball less than any other team in the league, right? Meaning, like once Ja Morant get that ball, it's a wrap. He is going to. He's not looking for a good shot. He's gonna put his head down, dribble, and go to the basket. And that is not. And as a matter of fact, when he came back, his first game back was against the Utah Jazz, and they lost that game, right? On top of that, he got his points, but his shooting percentage and the amount of shots that he took to get those shooting is just not, like I said, it's not conducive for winning. And if you're a head coach or you're a general manager and you see his style of play, it's really going to be hard to move him. His stock has really dropped because, and to me, if I'm Ja Morant, I would really be. This is something that he really need to be concerned with, right? Not because it's going to be hard for him to find a job in the NBA, and he is very talented. Unless he goes somewhere, he might sign like a short contract, a short deal, whereas though he'll have to go to this team, to the next team, and prove himself. He's going to really have to change his style of play if he wants to have a lasting NBA career. He's going to have to grow up ma- and be mature about his situation, focus on getting better as a basketball player, focus on being the kind of player that is going to benefit his team and make his team better, because he will not be able to, and Ja Morant probably wants to go somewhere where he has an opportunity to win, but that means that you want to pair Ja Morant up with a superstar. For instance, some people was talking about Ja Morant possibly going to the Minnesota Timberwolves to play beside Anthony Edwards, right? And like I said, his style of play do not match with what they're trying to do with the Minnesota Timberwolves with Anthony Edwards, right? Because he's ball dominant, he's a volume shooter, and he's not really big on passing the ball or getting his teammates involved in the game. So you can't really pair him with Anthony Edwards unless he's going to really have to change his game. You know, he really going to have to change his game, and I'm not sure if he is willing to do that. He's sometimes he don't show like the maturity necessary for him to be able to do something like that. He already gave a press conference in Memphis where he said that the love of the game, his passion for the game is kind of like fading, right? So, but I think that this situation right here is really going to be a wake up call for him. This is like make or break for him because he has to adjust his game to what's going on in the NBA. His style of play, he may be able to go somewhere with a team that's a team that's really not. They just want to put butts in the seat, basically. I don't see where, you know, um, if they're not focused on winning. And then on top of that, if he goes to that type of team, then he may not have an opportunity to win. I think John Morant missed a golden opportunity with his position at the Memphis Grizzlies. He was the man there, right? He had shoe deals, endorsement deals, and stuff like that. His main focus should have been bettering his game and capitalizing on the opportunities that he had in Memphis instead of getting into these off court situations with his friends, then having this blow up press conference with he said some things about the coach and the coaching staff. He really, I think, put himself in a position where as though hopefully it don't hurt him financially, because if he go to a team that's not a contender, that's going to hurt his endorsement deals, right? Um, and sometimes, and it may be like because of immaturity. I think sometimes players like John Morant or John Morant just they overestimate their value. They overestimate like the leverage that they have, and they mess up opportunities like this. And I think this right now is like the situation that John Morant is in. It's just that he's not focused on basketball, right? And that should be his main focus. Just like when he had that little argument or whatever you want to call it with the guy Clay Thompson, right? And Clay Thompson really just told, like you need you need to make sure that you are on the court. You can't, and that's what you want to see. You want to see John Morant on the court, getting better and helping his team advance, into the playoffs, man. Because like I said, I just think that he's blowing an opportunity for him to have success anywhere else in the league. He's going to have to change his game. No, is I don't know, man. I just think shooting the three. I always thought that this style of basketball was boring anyway, and it's phasing out. It is definitely phasing out, and I think that Ja Morant is going to be a victim of this type of basketball phasing out because teams, I think fans are even getting bored. I hear a lot of ex basketball players say that this style, the way that these current NBA players are playing is boring. They hate watching it because they are like diehard fans understand that the style of basketball that we're watching is kind of boring. It's either a 3-pointer or a dunk. Everybody's looking to make it onto Sports Center highlights, right? When that's just not winning basketball. Um, yeah, so that's my thoughts on the Ja Morant situation. It's more than just the trouble, like I said, that he's getting into. Even if Ja Morant was not, he didn't get into any trouble off court, and he had the perfect relationship with his coach. The way he plays on the court is definitely going to affect his market value, and that's the bottom line here. So that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I'll check you all out in my next video. Peace.